Good morning, students. So, we would continue to discuss the essay on doing nothing written by J.B.Priestly. In my first lecture, I have given you a brief introduction of the author Priestley life, and I have also given you introduction about the essay on doing nothing. Now, in this lecture, we will discuss the contents as described by Priestley about the arguments he gives about doing nothing. The essay begins with Priestley's experience of staying in a cottage among Yorkshire. Yorkshire is a place, it is a country, it is a village. It is a outskirts of London, Yorkshire. The place was 10 miles away from the railway station. So they were cut off from the busy life, from the hustle and bustle of the city life. The weather was also warm. The writer and his friend climbed about 2000 feet above the sea level to reach a moor. Now, what is a moor? M-O-O-R, moor. Moor is a high upland which has a lot of grass. Otherwise, so that land is infertile, particularly. So the land is not good, but it is up and there has a lot of wild grass. And the moor is also a derogatory term. The Europeans use moor, the word moor, for the Muslims. They have who have a black skin, and the Shakespeare play Othello was a Moor. So that is. But here we are concerned about the Moor, the land. What kind of a Moor? It is a infertile land, and it is up, and there is a dampness there. So they have climbed up about 2000 feet high above the sea level to reach a moor. He compares the beauty of a moor to an antechamber to heaven. The writer says that it is such a beautiful place, it looks that it is the antechamber, very close to heaven. They stretched flat on their backs upon the moor. They did nothing except looked at the distant horizon. There they went and lie down on the back, and they did nothing. And what they did nothing except looked up at the sky or gazed at the distant horizon. They smoked a great deal of tobacco, ate sandwiches, and drank water from the bubbling streams. They did not even indulge in friendly talks. So, in this way, their leisure was totally in contrast with the lives of the city people. So, these two friends they went away from the city life and climbed up to 2000 feet high, and there they discussed nothing but they looked at the horizon, and they say that it is just like the antechamber to heaven. When they came down, after resting for 2 days, when they came down, it was discovered that their boss and Mr. Gordon Selfridge, was bitterly criticizing them. Mr. Gordon Selfridge hated laziness more than anything. He regarded it as the greatest of sins. In America, laziness, idleness is regarded as a primary sin. The writer expresses sympathy to his condition. Priestley gives many arguments in favor of doing nothing. First of all the evils in this world is brought about by the person who are always active and doing something. That all the evils, all the mischiefs, and all the bad things which are brought up to the world are by those people who are always busy in doing something. In his opinion, it is the devil who becomes angry with the lazy people. The devil is the most busiest creature in the world. Because in his kingdom, no one is allowed to take rest. Similarly, in our case, most of the destruction or fear of danger in our present society, most of the destruction or fear of danger of destruction is created by the overactive people. In this way, Priestley wants to point out that most of our actions are misdirected, that our actions are not correct. We are not following the right path. He gives the example of the beginning of the First World War in 1914. He says that if all the politicians, statesmen, and army generals had taken a day off, the world would be in a better place. What does it mean? That we should have avoided the Great War if they were not active in discussing the things. In the same way, the participants of a peace conference after the war, when the peace conference began at Versailles, agar if they have been, if they have not been there, or these people have rested on some hillsides, the affair of the world would be in a good condition. Because as you know that after the war, in that peace treaty at Versailles, Germany was restricted. Many kind of you can say that many kind of penalties were imposed on Germany's, and that generated the seeds of Second World War. Therefore, if we came out of this notion, the laziness is a crime, we should be certainly gain from the idea, because many people say that idleness is a crime. They made it equal that when you are doing nothing, it is a crime. When all are doing something, Priestley also criticizes the religious leaders who hold conferences in all parts of the world. And this also happens in our times, that religious conferences are organized all over the world. But Priestley says that most of the time in these conferences are devoted to discuss the dress of the female, the dress of the woman, and the dance and other things. In other words, he can say that he wants to say that they waste their time in pointing out the polished society, or you can say that what is happening in the world, and that's not their job. They should discuss about the religious matter. They should talk about the values and the spirituality, instead of they indulge in such kind of things. They comment upon the film stars and others, and about politicians they made remark. So they waste their time in this way, and particularly they comment upon the dressing attitude of the woman and other things, etc. So they should be avoided. They do not discuss many other serious subjects which are related to for the civilization, for the progress of civilization. They don't discuss these topics. Similarly, in America, the laziness is considered as a primary sin, as I told you earlier. The impact of this notion means this thought is quite deep in their lives. Priestley comments that due to this notion of doing something, or always doing something, the best of the contemporary writers in America, they are not the good writers, they are the satirists. What does satirist means? That they write satire, they satire, they comment upon other writers. They don't have constructive writing in this way. But there are certain good writers in America, such as Thoreau and Walt Whitman, who have greatly he praised idleness. So Thoreau and Whitman has praised idleness. They have the writers. It requires a great effort before one can settle down to do nothing. And in this reference, he says that Wordsworth considered it more healthier and spiritualizing employment in staring at nature. That this is most spiritualizing experience when we do nothing. So in this way, he quotes many writers and says that doing nothing does not mean that wasting time idly, but trying to conceptualize, trying to brood, try to think about the future path of actions which we are going to take, and this break, this idleness, give a boost to our positive thinking. So the Priestley essay concludes the essay with the remark that world would be better off if it spent every possible moment for next 10 years doing nothing. So he also says that the world would be in a better place if we do nothing for next 10 years. In this way, the writer strongly advocates in favor of doing nothing. But here I want to add that you should not take it that he is advocating for doing nothing doesn't mean that we should waste time. Eh? Doing nothing requires some kind of preparation, some kind of thinking that what your future plan would be, and for that you are taking the rest. So we should adopt this kind of tactics, this kind of activities in our daily life, so that we can be more useful. We can do something for the civilization and for our country and for our universe. Thank you.